Hello, how we doing? My name is Ryan Mosser. That is one of my best friends, David Cahoon, and you are locked into another episode of the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast.
Woo! Let's do it.
Let's go. This is season 2, episode 9, and officially episode 22 overall of the show. One more notch on the belt, one more step into this long walk through the 2026 draft class. Since we kicked off season 2, we've basically been living inside this thing, not just rattling off names, but really trying to understand who these players are, how they function in an offense, and in what they mean for you in fantasy football. If you're just finding us, right now, where you been, here's the path we've taken. We've opened up the season with back-to-back weeks of quarterbacks, really digging in to see, how they see the field, how they throw the ball, how they throw it on the field, how they handle chaos. From there, we spent 3 straight episodes on wide receivers, every archetype you can think of: separators, bullies, vertical guys, slot technicians, 18 total receivers on those 3 episodes. Then we parked ourselves in the backfield for 3 more weeks and turned through 18 different running backs, each with their own style as well. If you missed any of that, hit the pause at some point this week. Go back through those episodes. Those are the golden episodes, man. They lay the foundation for everything that we're doing here tonight and beyond. Because tonight we're changing rooms again. This is our one and only tight end episode for the 2026 class. 1 shot, 1 week, 6 guys. Stop it. We're going to get a YouTube flag. And tight end is such a weird, but, beautiful position. You're part of the offensive line. You're part wide receiver. You're part problem solver for your coordinator. You're asked to live in the mud still, but be a mismatch in space. It's just, it's really interesting. So when we talk about these dudes, we're not just asking, can they catch? We're asking, can they stay on the field on every down? Can they tilt coverages? Can they be a quarterback's best friend and a defensive coordinator's headache at the same time? Dave, you want to give the 6 tight ends we're going to go over today?
Yeah, let's do it. And the tight end possession, as you said, is so unique and so, I feel like, important for fantasy football too. Yeah, because it's the one position I feel like that can really set you apart. And most winning teams, they have an elite tight end on their team. Yeah. Usually, unless you have just loaded positions elsewhere, you have to have a legit tight end in order to win your fantasy league. So it's important.
There's Slim Pickens out there too. I mean, there's only a few elite tight ends in the NFL every year. And some guys emerge, some guys fall off, but it's hard to find. So if you can find these diamonds in the rough, or maybe the resurgence of we've never really had a continuation of rookie tight ends who have been successful. It started off with Sam Laporta, then obviously Brock Bowers. Then we had success last year with Harold Fannin, a bunch of those other guys. Does that continue with some of the guys we talk about today? I don't know, but it's really refreshing for just fantasy in general, because usually the first year tight end, you never want to draft them in the first round, especially dynasty. And usually you're only looking for those 1 or 2, maybe 5, maybe just a handful of elite tight ends in the NFL. But so it's really refreshing to have these rookies that are stepping up, and the NFL are embracing them and making them such an important part of their offenses. So
yeah, I agree. It's really refreshing. So we're going to break down 6 prospects. The first one we have is Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Second one we have is Justin Jolly, tight end from North Carolina State. The third one we have is Eli Stowers, tight end from Vanderbilt. Fourth one is Oscar Delp, tight end from Georgia. Fifth one is Max Clare, tight end from Ohio State. And the last one is Jack Endries, tight end from Texas. And who knows, maybe at the end I might even throw in an honorable mention. We'll see.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, some of these guys, are move pieces who stress linebackers in space. Some are traditional inline bodies who can actually, dent the front and still threaten seams. I mean, a couple of them might end up being fantasy cheat codes. You never know. Especially if the usage is hit rights or if they fall into the right system. We're going to walk through all of that. Route nuance, functional strength, blocking temperament, red zone value, athletic ceiling, and tie it back to how you should be thinking about them in dynasty and in future rookie drafts as well. So get comfortable, settle into your spot on the couch, grab whatever you're drinking tonight, and let's talk some tight ends on the Commissioner's Couch.
Yes, we love a good tight end. All right, so
yeah. Before we start, I did want to talk about something real quick. I want to take a moment to highlight a thing that I've been highlighting in every show. You guys are probably hearing me kick it, beat a dead drum, kick a dead horse. I don't know. One of those. But my 4-year-old son, James, is in the Ranger Rick Junior Ranger Competition. He is a nature fanatic. This program shines in a spotlight on kids who genuinely love the outdoors, who ask questions, who explore, who want to understand the world around them. And that is James in every possible way. I mean, you guys are my listeners. You've already heard me talk about this. He's the kid who wakes up wanting to talk about habitats, spending the day pointing out birds and insects, and ends the night explaining the migration pattern. Literally, yesterday, all the birds are flocking back up into the north, obviously, and they're showing up on the radar for weather. And I was showing him that, so then he was repeating that last night and trying to act like he was a little expert. It's just so funny. Nonetheless, he's in this competition. He just made it through the first round. Now they're going to take the top 20. He's currently ranked third in his class. So he's got to be sorry, that was top 20. He's got to be top 15 now. So he's currently third, but that doesn't mean we're not going to stop voting for him. Please, it just takes a couple seconds. You have to have a Facebook, but literally all you do is scan this QR code for me, please. Right there. Or just go on my Twitter at DynastyCLE, and please vote for James. You can vote once for free a day, and it supports a great cause. And, it would be really great for my son. So I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, please go vote for James. It will be worth your while. And I mean, you're just going to make a kid's dreams come true, really.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, we've been posting a lot of videos of him, like just in his natural habitat on hikes, and him talking about his stuffed animals and stuff. And you can just see like the passion in his eyes for these animals. It's really, really cool, man. So,
yeah. Well, I hope he wins.
I do too. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our first sponsor reads that we have. As we've said, every episode so far, the Inside Edge Network has been growing, and we're so fortunate to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. So our first sponsor that we have is Ali Rose Fragrances. Discover Ali Rose's collections of handcrafted candles and body mists made with clean and minimal ingredients. Every product is thoughtfully created in small batches free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Head over to AliRoseFragrances.com right now to order and use a special promo code InsideEdge20 to receive a special discount. Again, that is InsideEdge20 to receive a discount now.
Capital I, capital E there.
Yep. It's on the screen.
It is on the screen, but for those people who are on Spotify, speaking of Spotify, if you want to support the show, the best thing you can do is hit our socials and jump into the community. We're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, Instagram, all at The Commissioner Couch. We're on Facebook under The Commissioner Couch Podcast. Every one of those pages will have our website pinned on there. It's thecommissionercouch.podbean.com. I gotta slow down, David. And that takes you to everywhere we can find us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all of them. So go on there, please follow us, subscribe, leave a beautiful comment. That'd be so nice of you.
Yes, please.
And click auto downloads. Doing any of those things helps us out so much. And it will help this show keep growing, and we're truly grateful for you guys. So and real quick, we're also brought to you by Mosser Moments Photography. They're a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland who specialize in providing the best wedding photos in Northeast Ohio. Check out their website at MossorMomentsPhotography.com. That's MOSSOR momentsphotography.com. And it's right there in your screen. David, how you doing, man?
Dude, I am good. Probably not as good as you, because once we're done here, you're like on vacation.
I got one more show. On Sunday.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yep.
So close. But I'm doing well. I'm ready for warmer weather. I'm ready for the draft. Just made some fun trades in our Dynasty League that we're in together. Got roasted for it, but I personally like it.
I did not roast you. I should have, though.
I mean, everybody did. So
Kevin told me to shout him out because he's a part of that trade, and he said he fleeced you.
He seemed very happy with it, and I'm happy for him. But
nonetheless, trades are fun, and I mean, once I get in the itch for a trade, I'm trying to do anything. So yeah, I saw you make that trade. I probably sent out 10. So
yeah, I mean, it's like the weird off-season point where it's like kind of dead right before the draft, and then after the draft happens, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in fantasy leagues, so I should do something." But yeah, I'll tell everybody what happened, and then everybody can roast me whenever they hear this. But I traded away a late first round pick this year, and what is the guy's name? Tony Pollard. Thank you. For a second round pick next year in the 2027 draft class. And you're probably thinking, why are you trading away a first round pick for a second round pick? That's stupid. I think there's more value to be had in the second round of next year's draft class than there is in the late first round of this year's draft class. Because by the time you get to 109, 110, 11, 12 in the first round rookie draft this year, a lot of the really good players are already gone. And the success rate of hitting on those picks are actually incredibly low if you've done the research on it at all.
Especially David.
So I would rather just take a random chance on a better draft class in 2027 that's going to have a deeper pool of players than the 2026 class that's maybe a little more top heavy for fantasy than it is deep.
So. I hear you. My rebuttal with that is so we are in. So he forgot to explain. This is a dynasty auction draft. So we actually have
not auction, snake or regular, just straight draft.
It's called a dynasty auction, David. For
There's
those
no
who
auction.
don't know. Just trust me. It's because the money is involved. So we have contracts. We have certain amount of years. Then we bid on contracts. If you draft the guys, that's worth a certain amount of years for a certain amount of money, up to $200. You get your not fab, but money involved. So he had Tony Pollard on. Was it one more year or just 1 year? Yeah, 1 year deal. How much money was it?
It was like $18, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So he shed $18, and he can use that for free agency. So he's betting on getting a free agent player for using that $18 to get a better player in free agency, and then on top of that, banking that a top 20 player next year is better than the 9th player this year. So that's what he's banking on.
Yes, and we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't have done it, and I'm mad he made the trade with Kevin and not me. But nonetheless, whatever.
I hope Kevin hits a all-star player out of it, but I just don't think it'll happen. Huh?
I don't screw Kevin.
Well, here's the difference, though. He's in a weird mode where he's like trying to win now, and so like I think he can probably use that pick better than I can because I'm in a huge rebuild mode right now with that dynasty league, and so.
Okay, Dave.
We'll see what happens.
Nonetheless, I have one more show on Sunday, and I am going on vacation, and I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, gonna get out of Ohio, go down to Florida, catch some sun, get some kisses, take my wife my kids to the beach. It's gonna be fun. So.
That'll be fun. I'm excited for you.
We need some time off. This has been a lot of fun, from January till now, April 10th, doing all this draft stuff. But, oh my gosh, I've probably put in a couple hundred hours, man. It's insane. So I'm ready for a break. So, and then we have the draft. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
It'll be fun.
All right. So where are we right now in the pre-draft series, David?
Yeah, so we are concluding our pre-draft series right now. We are finishing up our 9th episode of all of these prospects that are coming into the NFL draft. So we've talked through 2 weeks of the quarterbacks. We talked to 3 weeks of the wide receivers. We just finished up 3 weeks of running back talk as well. And now we're finally hitting home one of the most important positions for fantasy football, but that would be the tight ends. So we're going to dive in deep here. We're going to talk through 6, and I maybe give an honorable mention bonus tight end prospect as well. But yeah, it'll be a fun time, and really I think will help you because this tight end class is actually a little bit deeper than I thought when I first looked at it. And so I think it'll be a good draft class.
Yeah, I actually thought it was pretty deep too.
Yeah.
As David said, tight ends are the different kind of puzzle. You're evaluating a player who has to live up to 2 universes at once, the trenches and the passing game. And you're asking whether they can anchor a run fit, threaten the seam, win leverage against safeties, and still be reliable enough to stay on the field in every situation. It's a position defined by versatility, toughness, and the ability to create matchup problems that coordinators can't ignore. And this week we got, like David said, one shot at this group. This is our lone tight end episode this season, and by the time we're done, you'll have a clear picture of what each of these prospects brings to the table. Dave, let's bring him on, buddy. Let's do number 1.
Let's do it. Number 1.
Number 1.
All right. Number 1, we have Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. I feel like he is the consensus number 1 tight end in this draft class. But Moss, where do you have him ranked on your board?
He's my number 1 as well.
He is also my number 1. He's a big athletic freak. He tested really, really well at the Combine and the Oregon Pro Day. But why don't you give us a little bit of a background on him and his college career?
I think Kenyon Sadiq is the prototype for what a modern tight end position is becoming in the NFL. He came to Oregon as a long, wiry offensive weapon with a wide receiver background, and over the last 3 seasons has transformed himself into a complete formation flexible tight end who can threaten every blade of grass, man. His developmental arc is one of the most impressive in this entire class. He didn't just add weight, he added responsibility. Oregon trusted him everywhere, detached in the slot, as a wing, and eventually as a true inline presence. The crazy part is he handled all that without losing the fluidity, that made him special in the first place as well. And his projection backs it up. He went from, a rotational piece, behind Terrence Ferguson to a featured target, finishing 2025 with 51 catches, 560 yards, and 8 touchdowns, all while still being used, in motion and play action, and in other space creating roles. His coaches raved about how quickly he can absorb information, and how rarely he busts assignments. He's the type of player who you can build concepts around because he doesn't limit your playbook. He's going to expand it. I think he's the definition of a matchup problem. He's too smooth for linebackers. He's too strong for corners. Too smart for the schemed out of the game, and not to mention he's freaking fast, man. So yeah,
he's really fast, and that definitely jumped off the tape. And when he went and tested this year. So you talk about how he is as a player, as a tight end. How would you describe him? Is he just a receiving tight end? Is he more than that? How would you describe it?
He's a movement-based tight end with receiver-level polish, I would say. His game is built, like I said, on fluidity, timing, the ability to separate without, needing gimmicks or, having manufactured plays or space, he gets off the line with a glide that immediately forces defenders to declare leverage. His route pacing is advanced. He changes gears with purpose, not just for show. He's fun to watch, man. He bends and stems like a wideout. He's 240, dude. 240 pounds. He does not play like a 240-pound tight end. I think he's incredibly controlled at the catch point. Can adjust mid-air without losing balance. After the catch, he can accelerate like a long strider who eats ground in a huge hurry. He's not a big slot masquerading as a tight end player. I think he's a legitimate tight end who happens to move like a player 30 pounds lighter. And because he's embraced the physical side of the position, he's not a liability when he's asked to block. He's a true hybrid tight end, the kind of tight end, offensive coordinators love because he forces defenses into uncomfortable personnel decisions. So,
yeah, I think that fluidity is a big part of his game. He's a big body player, but he does not move like one. He's very fast, very agile. But when you talk about transitioning to the NFL, everybody's fast, everybody's agile, everybody's big, everybody's strong. So what do you think will be one of his challenges as he transitions to the NFL?
I think he's still developing play strength. He can sustain blocks, but he's not consistently, generating movement against bigger edge defenders. As he continues to fill out his frame, that should improve when he goes to the NFL. I think his anchor can be stressed against power as well, especially when matched against, long-armed, heavy-handed defenders. He can walk back, if he doesn't win leverage early. But for fantasy, who cares? I don't know. He's got elite separation skills for the position, not natural ball tracking. His athletic testing was absolutely explosive. A 4.39 40, 1.54 split, his 43.5 inch vert, and he's 241 pounds, dude. That is a wide receiver explosiveness in a tight end's body. Not to mention he's got versatility across the formation. And he's a functional and improving blocker. So he's got a ton of pros. I think his earliest challenge probably in the NFL is going to be, like I said, handling NFL level physicality when he's asked to block true defensive ends. But I think he's very willing, and he's got the body type to where if he gets a little coaching, he'll be just fine. So
yeah, no, I agree. It'll be interesting to see if he can handle some of those big defensive ended tackles in the NFL level. So when it comes to fantasy football, how does he project? Is he a home run hitting type of a tight end, or how does he project? Does he need a little bit more work as a project? What is he like?
I think he's the exact archetype that becomes a fantasy cheat code if his usage hits. He brings, seam stretching explosiveness, red zone value out the wazoo, route running polish that earns early targets, snap to snap reliability that keeps him on the field. He's not going to be the gadget player or, the part-time move piece. He's going to be a full service receiving tight end who can stay on the field in every personnel grouping. If he lands with the right system that leans on play action motion, layered route concepts, he's legitimate tight end one upside in dynasty formats. And because he's already a refined separator, he's the rare rookie tight end who contribute could contribute earlier than most. And we've seen that nearly every year for the last 4 or 5 seasons. So he's my tight end one for a reason. He checks every box when you want a modern fantasy tight end, and his athletic profile gave him a ceiling that few players at the position can match in this draft. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like the sky is definitely like where he can hit it. Sorry about that. Had to pause and take a quick phone call. But yeah, Kenyon Sadiq, somebody who's big, athletic, could be a really, really good tight end for this upcoming year. So when we talk about player comps, I have a old school tight end that I thought really encompassed a lot of Kenyon Sadiq and how he played. Do you want to try and guess who he was, Moser?
You said how old school?
I mean, we would know him.
Antonio Gates?
Similar time frame, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit later.
Who?
Or more recent, but Vernon Davis. Yeah, talk about a big body who can move really well. I think Vernon Davis was maybe a little more stiff than I think Kenyon Sadiq is. And I think Sadiq's a little bit more of a polished receiver than Vernon Davis was, but still a big guy that can move around and be a really good target for any quarterback and be one of their best friends. So when we talk about landing spots for fantasy football, we need to think of, hey, who is the current tight end on this team? And who are the other receivers that are going to be competing for targets for him? Because I think Kenyon Sadiq has the potential to be in the tight end one conversation this upcoming year if he's in the right landing spot. And so for this, I picked the Miami Dolphins as his ideal landing spot. They don't have any wide receivers. They have a decent quarterback right now that they just brought in Malik Willis, but they really don't have any passing threats at all.
Malik Washington, come on.
You're right. Malik to Malik. You're right. But yeah, Kenyon Sadiq can step in and kind of be like the main focal point for that passing game from day one. He's that talented. There's that big of a need for that offense to find somebody like him. And he could just kind of be a huge PPR machine this year if he lands there.
I would love that, actually. I mean, you think of Darren Waller and how he succeeded last year until, obviously he's old and had weird situations with injury and not being in and out. But when he played, he dominated. They force-fed him the ball, and he would feast.
Yes, he would. And I think he would enjoy the sunshine too.
I don't know. The Browns just had him in for a top 30 visit, and I actually secretly would kind of love that. Maybe not for fantasy, but just I'm a Browns fan. So
for the Browns,
and I understand the implications with Harold Van Den Jr., but Todd Monken does like to run 12 personnel and those 2 tight ends, and man, Sadiq as a receiver opposite of Harold Van Den Jr. would be just incredible. So
agreed.
I don't know. We'll see.
Don't worry. There's another tight end I really liked going to the Browns. We'll talk about later. So, but yeah, that is Kenyon Sadiq, our first tight end. Let's jump into number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. That is Justin Jolly, the tight end from North Carolina State. Where is he ranked on your board, Moss?
He's my tight end 2, David.
Number 2, my lord.
Number 2.
Well, he's my number 6 tight end.
It's not bad.
Yeah, he's not bad. I feel like the range from like 2 to 7 is kind of very comparable.
Maybe,
but yeah, I feel like there are some other ones I liked a little bit more than him. But let's hear his background and his story. Who is he, Moser? Who is Justin Jolly from North Carolina State?
I think he's one of the most physically overwhelming tight ends in this entire draft cycle. He started his career at UConn. He flashed early, then took a massive step forward when he transferred to NC State. The moment he arrived in Raleigh, he looked different than any other species on the field. 6'6", 255 pass catcher who moved like a much smaller athlete, but played like, he had the force of a front court bruiser. It's his production tells the story of a player who kept ascending every single year across 4 seasons, 166 catches for 1,978 yards, 15 touchdowns, including 661 season in 2024 and a 7 touchdown campaign last year. And none of that was inflated by gimmicks at all, by all means. He earned all those numbers by being the guy that defenses had to account for on every single down. Coaches loved his mentality. They talk about how he embraces contact, how he handles physical coverage, and how he consistently shows up in high leverage moments. He's the tight end who becomes a quarterback security blanket because he's always available, even when he's covered. I think Justin Jolly's path from under recruited prospect prospect to one of the most feared tight ends in the ACC is a testament to how hard he's worked and, to refine his game and maximize his frame. So,
yeah, I can see it. He definitely has strong hands. I saw that a lot in his tape.
Yeah.
Very secure with the ball. I'm curious because it didn't seem like he was the most fluid runner out there, but he still looked athletic enough. But when you talk about the type of mold and player that he is, how would you categorize him?
Stylistically, he's more of a power-centric receiving tight end who thrives in contested environments and owns the middle of the field. His game is built around physical dominance, not just size, but how he uses that mass to his advantage. He plays through defenders like they're obstacles, not opponents. He shields the ball with his frame and, the way that, like I said, a post player seals off a defender. He elevates with confidence and wins throws most tight ends can't even reach. He accelerates, I thought, surprisingly well for especially for once he opens up his hips as well, and goes into his stride. He forces defensive backs to make business decisions after the catch as well. He's not a finesse separator. I think he's a matchup nightmare who forces defenses to adjust their structure. Safeties are too small. Linebackers are too slow. Corners can't handle the strength. And because he's more polished as a route runner than people expect, I think he's not just a jump ball specialist. He's a legitimate chain mover who can attack every level of the field. I really like him, man.
Interesting. So what do you think would be one of his biggest weaknesses as he transitions into the NFL?
He's not a sudden mover, and that would be a weakness. He's fluid for his size, but he's not going to snap off routes with the same sharpness that smaller tight ends would. And obviously his pad level can drift, especially while blocking. When he pops upright, he loses leverage and allows defenders to get underneath him. He's got to work on that a little bit. The biggest challenge early probably will be handling NFL defenders who can match his strength. He's used to using that as an advantage, especially in college, against smaller corners, smaller defenders. But he could basically bully anyone he lined up against. But in the league, he'll face edge players who are just as big and just as physical. He's not going to do that to Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. Yeah. So he'll need to tighten up his hand placement and maintain leverage to avoid getting stalled at the point of attack. But he's got an incredible foundation. He's got unrelentless effort. He's got amazing power and a willingness to finish it as well. So that I think those traits will translate. I think you said he's got great hands. Yeah, he's a dominant catch point presence. He plays above the rim with ease. His wingspan and timing allow him to snatch throws that most tight ends, like I said, they can't even dream of catching, but he's going to grab them. I think he is a surprisingly yard after catch finisher as well, because he uses that physicality in his body. He runs like he's trying to break tackles in bulk. He's just going to try to, he's a bowling ball and he's going to run down those pins, tackles aren't going to matter. Smaller defenders going to bounce off of them. There's definitely size driven separation. And I think his route pacing is better than advertised as well. And he's going to be reliable in traffic. Definitely comfortable in catching through contact, absorbing hits, stuff like that. So, I secretly love Justin Jolly. So
okay, well, it's no longer a secret. I think there's potential there to be good. He was a very productive player at his time as NC State, but I'm curious to see how it'll transition and if he'll be the type of player that requires a little bit more time to develop and get used to the speed of the NFL game, or if not. So fantasy football wise, how can he be an impactful tight end in year one?
I think he's the kind of tight end who could become a touchdown machine if he lands in the right offense. Like I said, his hand size and catch point dominance make him a natural red zone magnet. His ability to win vertically gives him weekly splash play potential as well. He's a mismatch in scoring territory. He's definitely a reliable option on third downs. He has the frame to stay on the field and basically every personnel grouping as well. He's productive even when he's not, separating cleanly as well. Obviously, he's not the same style of tight end as Sadiq. He's more of a physical problem than a movement specialist, but the fantasy ceiling is absolutely there, I'd say. If he lands with a quarterback who trusts him in tight windows, he could become one of those players who quietly put up tight end one numbers because he's always involved in high value situations. He's my tight end too because he brings a rare blend of size, toughness, and like I said, contested catch dominance. Traits that translate immediately into the NFL and to fantasy football. So.
Interesting. We'll see what happens. You're going to hate this player comp that I've got for him. But when I was watching this tape, I feel like his college tape matched a lot to this player's college tape, who was actually rated when he came out as the top tight end in the college world. But that person was Harrison Bryant, a productive player in college, transitioned to the NFL, maybe took a little bit longer, had some moments and some flashes, but really was just, I think, somebody who could not make the leap in the long run. He's still playing in the NFL and still like a kind of do it all type of a tight end. And I do think Justin Jolly's a better receiver than Harrison Bryant was. But I think the physicality and kind of like, hey coach, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. I can see that in Jolly's game a little bit.
That makes me want to throw up.
I knew you weren't going to like it, but I had to say it because that's what I saw. So the ideal landing spot that I've got for him is going to be one where he, as you mentioned earlier, he can be like just a touchdown machine. And so for that, I picked the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't really have much of a tight end room right now. I disagree.
Oh, okay. Brenton Strange, man. He's a top 7 tight end.
He was.
He is.
We'll see what happens. But I think somebody like Jolly can come in there and kind of compete right away to try and get those red zone targets and be a tight end touchdown making machine. He's a lot
of people to feed in that offense other than, Travis Hunter. What the heck?
He's no longer in the offense. So
yeah. It's all speculation until that first snap is played.
Honestly, you're not wrong. This is silly season anyway, right?
They drafted him 2nd overall to play corner. That would be the highest drafted corner since over Denzel Ward or Deion. Yeah. They were both 4th. So insane. Yeah, there's no way he's gonna be in the offense. He's gonna be fantasy relevant. Everyone, chill out. I'm not freaking out. You are. Sorry.
Sure. Okay. Hey, we'll talk more about him once we get past the draft.
Yeah. Sorry.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Justin Jolly, I think, can come in and compete as the tight end 1, tight end 2, get a lot of red zone targets and be somebody who can just be a secure blanket target for Trevor Lawrence in that offense. And so I think that's the best path for him moving forward. I don't really see how else he can kind of become a dynamic tight end, reliable or top option for fantasy this year. But maybe in the years to come, he could develop a little bit more. So
send him to the Chiefs. That'd be amazing.
We'll see what happens.
Send him to the Chiefs. Let's do it. All right. Let's get on this ad, brother.
Yeah. Fanatics.com. Here we go. Hey, everyone. This is David from the Commissioner's Couch podcast. Fantasy football fans, you've found the #1 destination for all the officially licensed football gear you will need this NFL season. The NFL shop from Fanatics.com features sportswear and accessories from brands like Nike and New Era, as well as NFL coolers, so you can head to the tailgate repping your team. If you're looking to add to your collection of tailgate gear, you need to check out our grilling items and coolers. With official player jerseys, polos, and hats, we've got enough gear to keep you repping your favorite NFL team throughout the whole season. Go to Fanatics.com by using the QR code on the screen right now to celebrate your fantasy football teams. Again, that's Fanatics.com, or use the QR code on the screen to buy all the gear you need to rep your team. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck in your fantasy teams. Yeah, Fanatics.com. Go to their website. I don't have a QR code anymore, but Fanatics.com.
It's on our socials. Yep. Inside Edge net, right?
Yep.
On Twitter, go in there, check it out, use our code or our QR code there, and you will get some awesome discounts for Fanatics.
Yes, so please go buy your favorite player's jersey or a hoodie or sweatshirt or a hat if you want. Here in Cleveland, I wear a lot of hats because it's always windy and cold and rainy. But yeah, let's jump into tight end number 3.
Number 3, my lord.
Number 3.
Number 3, this would be Eli Stowers. Is it Stowers? Stowers? I think it's Stowers.
Like a tower?
Tower, but with an S, yes.
Like a stoic tower?
Tight end from Vanderbilt. He is my number 2 tight end on my big board. Where's he at for you? I can't wait.
He is my tight end 21.
20? You've got to be kidding.
Listen, I'm not going to lose credibility here. I'm going to back up everything I say, guys. Do not leave this podcast right now. Okay.
I'm curious to hear why he's 21. I mean, I've heard some podcasts that have him like right next to Kenyon Sadiq.
Some have him above,
that, but I like him a lot.
Yep. I'm hearing people are ready to push him past Sadiq. I am not.
Okay, well,
it just depends.
What is his background like from Vanderbilt? Was he a fluid mover? Was he a good receiver? What was he like?
He's very unconventional for a tight end prospect. Probably one in this class. He started college as a quarterback, legitimate dual threat recruit, before transitioning to tight end and eventually transferring to Vanderbilt. That position switch unlocked a completely different version of him as an athlete. Suddenly, all the athletic traits that made him a dangerous quarterback runner translated into a smooth, flexible pass catcher with natural sense of spacing. At Vanderbilt, he became a centerpiece of their passing game. Over the last 2 seasons alone, he put up 111 catches, 1,407 yards, and 9 touchdowns, and he did it while lining up everywhere. He was in line, slot, wing, motion, even out wide sometimes. The quarterback background shows up, constantly. He understands timing. He knows how to settle into voids, and he sees coverage the way a passer does. Coaches talk about him as a worker, praise how quickly he picked up the nuances of a brand new position, how willing he was to take on the physical responsibilities he's never had before, and how naturally he fits into a modern spread concepts. He's a unique athlete with a unique path, and that combination makes him, I think, a fun, fascinating prospect and evaluation for this class.
Yeah, he is a very fascinating prospect. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me from his tape was just his like understanding of coverages. And I think that speaks to like his quarterback background, but his willingness to kind of like bend a route in one direction to get somebody off balance and cut it back the other way. He's a very, very fluid runner, I felt like too. Good athlete. And I feel like it took a while for people to figure out how they can use him in the college and football world. And I feel like he kind of hit his stride here as a tight end as he wrapped up his college career. But when you talk about the style of player that he is, how would you describe him? Does he fit into a certain mold? Is he just kind of like this weird Swiss Army knife that nobody knows how to use and won't really translate to the NFL? Or how would you describe it?
I think he's a movement-driven tight end who thrives in space, obviously. His game is built on, like you said, fluidity is major. Timing, the ability to glide through coverage with a level of ease that you don't normally see from someone who weighs around 240 pounds. He runs routes like someone who understands the entire passing concept and, not just the assignment, and that's because he had to do that while he's a quarterback. He changes direction without any stiffness. Everything is smooth and connected. He accelerates with long, efficient strides that eat up ground on crossers and seams. He adjusts off-target throws with balance and body control. He's comfortable with working from, multiple alignments as well. He doesn't, look out of place in any of them. He's not a bruiser, not a traditional wide tight end. He's a hybrid. He's a player who wins with intelligence, movement, rather than raw power. So,
yeah, he definitely does win with intelligence. So talk about the transition to the NFL. How difficult is this going to be for him? Is this going to be somebody who can kind of hit the ground running, or somebody who's going to take a little bit more time to develop, you think?
It just depends what position he plays. And that's why my ranking is here. If he's a tight end and goes into the NFL as a tight end, I think he's going to struggle. He's got his anchor is a major concern of mine. Even when he wins with angles, he struggles to maintain ground, once defenders engage. And that was in college. This is the NFL. He's going to get bull rush, man. He is not physical at all. He's severely underpowered as a blocker. He fights, but he simply doesn't have the mass or the strength to hold up against NFL caliber edge rushers. He gets compressed so quickly when, matched with power. The biggest hurdle for him, I think, is going to be surviving as an inline player. In college, he can get by with technique and effort, but like I said, in the NFL, these guys are too strong, they're too long, too explosive for him to rely on finesse. Unless he unless he adds significant lower body strength, he's going to struggle to stay on the field in traditional tight end roles. The receiving ability is incredibly real. The movement is real, but the physical profile as a blocker is a legitimate question mark, and that's why he is so low on my rankings. Because, I mean,
that's fair.
On the field, you know what he's doing. He is not. He's either going to be a liability at blocking somebody, or he's going to go try to catch the ball. He does have incredible strength. He's got advanced route instincts, effortless movement skills, great hands, and awesome tracking as well. Alignment flexibility, elite athletic testing. A 4.51 40 for a tight end, 1.59 split. Very outrageous for a tight end. Rare experience. But for fantasy, yeah, he could be great, but I just question how much he's going to stay on the field. I'm evaluating him as a tight end, not a wide receiver. That's why he's my tight end 21.
Got you.
NFL teams are reportedly looking at him as possibly a wide receiver convert. If he becomes a full-time wideout, he might be one of the biggest steals in this draft. That would change everything for me. His movement, like I said, his movement skills, explosiveness, his route feel, all of that plays beautifully, out on the perimeter. But as a tight end, the position he's listed at, the position he played in college, he's got those glaring issues that I cannot bypass. They're not minor weaknesses. It's structural limitation. He doesn't generate movement. He gets walked back by any sort of power, struggles to sustain. He lacks a mass to anchor. He is a liability in traditional run game concepts. And that if that happens, he's not going to be on the field, regardless of how great he is as a tight end, or he's going to be a one-trick pony. So that's where I am.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it and I see it. He is definitely not a blocker or a physical player at all. So I have those same concerns and I get that. I think for fantasy football, though, a big thing about the tight end position is just their receiving ability. Sure. So since that's one of his strengths, how can you see him being a fantasy relevant player year one this year?
I personally think he's one of the biggest landing spot matters players in this draft. If a team drafts him as a tight end and expects him to play in line, he's going to be a rotational piece early. And I personally think his fantasy value will be limited. Do we need to pause?
No, we're good.
Okay. If a team drafts him as a hybrid or, outright converts him to wide receiver, he's going to explode. His athletic profile and route, feel give him legitimate upside, and a big, as a big slot or a boundary mismatch. And for fantasy purposes, could be a real sleeper as a receiver, but as a tight end, he's a developmental, usage dependent, volatile player. So that's where I see it.
No, I get that. And I think landing spot will be important with him. I think one thing that I think will really help him fantasy wise is if he goes to a place where he doesn't need to necessarily focus on blocking. And if he goes to a place where he can just kind of become hey, I'm the receiving tight end, put me in for passing downs and I'll thrive. Great. He'll probably be really well for fantasy.
Yeah. That's rare though. I mean, usually you have to earn that. And if, like I said, he's not going to be in on running.
Yeah.
So I mean that's 50% to 30 to 50% of the offense he's not going to be on the field for. That's a liability for fantasy as a tight end for me. So
no, I get it, and it's a fair concern for sure.
Yeah,
I think the player comp that I've got for him also had a lot of these concerns coming out, and I think it was a big reason why he didn't get a second contract with the team that he was with. He's still in the league, still fantasy relevant player, but that would be Isaiah Likely. You talk about just a big receiving threat tight end. People thought, he's such a good receiver, he's going to take over Mark Andrews as this kind of tight end for the Ravens. And he never really did. He was still a good receiving threat and became a really good red zone target, but never really was able to battle Mark Andrews for that tight end one position. And the Ravens eventually moved on from him because he wasn't really willing to block and be involved in the run game. And I think Eli Stowers definitely has that potential to become like that too. But as a receiver, he's dynamic. He's fluid. He's agile. He can break tackles, make people miss. And so the ideal landing spot that I've got for him, I'll see what you think on this, but would be somebody who has an aging tight end on their roster already, has some good wide receivers, but maybe needs a little bit more playmaking ability from the tight end position. And that would be the Houston Texans. You've got Dalton Schultz already, who can kind of become that blocking tight end more as he's aging. They have a little bit of depth behind him. But if they really want to be more dynamic and involve CJ Stroud and take him to the next level, they're going to need a receiving threat at tight end like an Eli Stowers to come in and be that receiving threat that so many other quarterbacks have that are pushing for Super Bowls. And so I think it would be a really good fit for them, really good fit for Stowers, because then he doesn't have to worry about blocking as much. But I don't know. What do you think?
I don't hate it, especially with Tank Dell coming back possibly as well. Hopefully they fix their offensive line. They've been trading away all the veterans. Thanks for Titus Howard. Appreciate it. But nonetheless, their offensive line was awful last year, and now it's probably worse. They're probably looking to get some guys in the draft. So the question will be is if Stroud has enough time to, go through his processing or not. But in terms of pass catching, Nico Collins, Higgins, Jalen Noel, maybe Tank Dell. I think that him as a tight end too, where Dalton Schultz is also a receiving tight end, but can handle the blocking. He could be a good spot for him, but I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. So
that's true. That's true. All right, well, let's jump into tight end number 4, shall we?
Let's do it, brother.
Number 4.
Number 4, we've got tight end Oscar Delp from Georgia. He was my tight end number 3, actually, on my list. Where's he at for you?
He's my tight end 11.
11. Okay, a little bit lower. I really, really liked Oscar Delp, actually. I felt like he was a very consistent player and maybe somebody that wasn't utilized the best in Georgia, but I think there's flashes on his tape that showed how dynamic he could be. Mm-hmm. But talk about his college career. Yeah, I feel like he was somebody who was kind of Georgia was excited to get him after Brock Bowers had graduated and moved on, but I don't think he ever filled those shoes, which they were huge shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But what was his background like at Georgia?
Fun fact, after Bowers left Georgia and went to the NFL, Oscar Delp in my C2C leagues, my college to Canton leagues, the fantasy football for college leagues, was the tight end 1 taken in every single league. Everyone thought he was going to be the best college tight end coming into in 2024. So that's how high regarded he was in college, at least, and as a prospect going into Georgia. But I think he's the kind of tight end who quietly becomes indispensable in a pro style offense. He came into Georgia as a highly regarded recruit, and instead of getting lost in in a loaded tight end room, obviously one of the best college tight ends of all time at Brock Bowers, he steadily carved out a role by doing everything that the coaching staff asked him to do. He would align anywhere they asked. He blocked with real effort, ran clean routes, and would be ready when the ball came his way. His production won't blow anyone away on paper. 90 catches for 854 yards, 9 touchdowns across 4 seasons. But context obviously matters there. Georgia rotates weapons, spreads touches, and asks their tight ends to handle a ton of responsibility. Oscar Delp earned trust in that environment because he's reliable, he's disciplined, and he understands how to play within structure. His coaches constantly praise his maturity, his ability to handle, the details, spacing, leverage, timing, assignment, execution. He's the type of player who doesn't need volume to make an impact. He just needs opportunities. And when he gets those opportunities, he maximizes them. I think he's a technician with a competitive edge. And, that combination gives him, one of the higher floors in this entire tight end class. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does have a really high floor. I think he is somebody who does a good job of being able to read defenses, sit down in zones, and kind of just be a reliable piece for a quarterback. So when it comes to his play style, how would you describe the mold that he fits? What type of a tight end is he? Things like that.
He's more of a rhythm-based, smooth, moving tight end who wins with efficiency rather than flash or power. His game is built on clean mechanics, really clean releases, great clean breaks, fantastic soft, clean hands. Nothing looked forced, nothing looks labored. He glides through routes with balance and control. He understands how to manipulate leverage without needing dramatic fakes, not flakes. Consistently available to the quarterback because he knows how to uncover and find those holes, which is very important moving to the NFL. He adjusts to off-target throws with relative poise, I thought, as well. And he blocks with technique and effort, not brute force. He's not the explosive highlight reel type of tight end. He's the tight end who keeps the offense on schedule, converts, third and medium, gives you dependable snaps, and pretty much most personnel groupings. I think he could be a coach's dream because he rarely puts the offense in a bad spot. So,
Okay. Yeah, I can see him being a like coach's best friend type of a tight end, somebody who just would like do whatever the coach says to do and run things to a T. I can see that being him. So when it comes to fantasy football, how can he be somebody that can hit the ground running in year one? What would make him in his landing spot or his play style a relevant piece for fantasy football?
I think his route running is really polished. He understands how to vary tempo, how to lean into defenders, and how to create just enough separation to stay open. His pacing was advanced for a college tight end, and I expect that to also be relatively a good asset of him going to the NFL. I think his hands are very reliable, and he has great body control. He catches the ball cleanly, extends naturally, adjusts the throws that drift outside of his frame pretty much with ease as well, and rarely fights the football. He's going to get it the first time. You never see him. He's got
bobbling, yeah.
That bit. He's got functional blocking technique, good spatial awareness, and like I said, he can be aligned in multiple different ways. Inline, slut, wing, motion. He did it all in a pro system, and I think he looks comfortable pretty much everywhere. So.
Okay, so what do you think would be one of his biggest weaknesses as he transitions into the NFL?
Not a super high-end athlete. He works with fluidity. He's not going to overwhelm defenders with long speed or burst by any means. Okay. His separation is going to come from craft more than explosiveness. And I think he's got a limited point of attack power as well. He can hold his own, but he's not someone who's going to consistently move defensive ends off their spot. I think his biggest adjustment early on, with dealing with NFL defenders who can match his size and technique. In college, his balance and hand placement allowed him to survive against bigger bodies. In the league, he'll need to add lower body strength to avoid getting compressed, I would say, on longer developing run plays. But I think his foundation is great news. He's got great footwork. He works well with leverage. He's got fantastic effort. He's already strong as well. I just think he needs a little bit more mass, and that functional power will come, and that will help round out his game. So.
Yeah, I can see that. I definitely think he's somebody who could have the potential to hit the ground running right away in the NFL season, but I think he definitely still has a lot of room to grow, though, as a tight end, which I think is great. Definitely something that teams will want in the NFL draft. So when it came to a player comp, I actually had a hard time for him.
Do you want to do a fantasy summary?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Did I not talk about that?
No.
Oh, well, give me his breakdown on his fantasy summary.
Gosh.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, I just think he'll be a steady fantasy contributor right away because he's going to be the type of player who's always on the field. He's not going to be a boomer bust athlete. He's going to, how do I say this? He's going to create volume in the game through trust. He's reliable in the intermediate game. He's a natural fit for play action and timing based offenses. Good enough as a blocker to stay in pretty much every personnel grouping. And he's very consistent, which is rare at the tight end position. I don't think he may necessarily ever be like a top 5 fantasy tight end, but he absolutely has a profile to become a weekly tight end 2 with tight end 1 upside, depending on usage and red zone involvement, depending on what scheme he gets into. I think he's the kind of player who sneakily racks up 4 to 6 targets a game because quarterbacks trust him. So,
yeah, I can see it. I'm hopeful. I really like him. The player comp that I've had, as I said, it was a little hard for me to find one. But I think when it comes to like just the player ceiling, I can see him kind of fit in a mold like this. That would be Travis Kelce. Player who it's very bold, I know. Somebody who does a really good job of reading defenses, somebody who does a good job of running the routes the right way, sitting down in zone coverages. Somebody who I thought needed a little bit of time to kind of learn how to block better when he got into the NFL, but somebody who was really reliable. And a fierce competitor. And I feel like Oscar Delp can fit a lot of those things.
So we know who David's drafting in Dynasty this year. Jeez.
Maybe. We'll see.
Definitely.
Don't have the 109 to spend on Oscar Delp anymore, so we'll see.
Who would do that?
It was a joke. But yeah, his acceleration and willingness to run through players and put his body on the line, I can see a lot of that in both Travis Kelce and Oscar Delp's game. When it comes to a landing spot, I feel like something that'll be really helpful for him is if he has like become the tight end 1B almost, like to where the offense wants to play multiple tight ends. The offense wants to thrive having tight ends on the field that can block, but also be dynamic in the passing game. And I think the ideal landing spot that I've got for him is the Cleveland Browns, actually. Somebody who doesn't necessarily come fully formed, but somebody who can come in.
David loves this guy.
I really do like Oscar Delp.
Compared to Travis Kelce and trying to send him to his favorite team.
Please bring him. But yeah, somebody who can kind of be the tight end too, still have opportunities to play and get that experience while still being developed and grow, and not necessarily take anything away from Harold Fandon, but still be a piece and a weapon in a passing game that's still very wide open. And I think Oscar Delp can really thrive and be a good red zone target and just be relied upon time and again. And so I think there would be plenty of mouths to feed whoever's a quarterback, but both Harold Fandon and Oscar Delp. So
there you go.
There you have it. All right, we got another sponsor to talk about. This sponsor is another sponsor for Inside Edge Network. But whether you are searching for a baseball autographed by your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by an iconic Hall of Famer, or the jersey of a world-famous soccer star, you've come to the right place. Here at sportsmemorabilia.com, the world's web leading source of authentic sports memorabilia, you'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league, team, and players. Not only will you find your next prized possession with ease, thanks to their superb customer experience and tremendous site experience. Wow. You'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind that every product comes completed with a certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by the sportsmemorabilia.com lifetime authenticity guarantee. So go ahead and head to sportsmemorabilia.com to get your collection started today. Again, that is sportsmemorabilia.com. All right, shall we jump into number 5?
Let's do it, brother.
Number 5.
Number 5, that would be Max Clare, tight end from Ohio State. OH.
Baby, let's go.
All right, where is he at on your board?
My tight end 10.
10, okay. I thought he would be higher for you. I have him as my number 5.
I'm not biased.
Okay.
I use the tape in NFL projection without bias, David.
I believe you.
I'm being stupid. All right.
No, you're good. So give us a breakdown on the background of Max Clare. We know he was in Ohio State last year. I know he wasn't there before that. Where was he before? How has he grown? Give us a background.
He's the definition of like a blue collar tight end who built his game through toughness, technique, repetition. He started off at Purdue, where he flashed as a physical assignment sound player. He actually was the best player on their offense in 2024 before he transferred to Ohio State. And, a program that demands its tight ends to handle NFL style responsibilities. Instead of, getting overwhelmed by the jump and complexity, he thrived, especially in a room that had, probably 4 or 5 guys that are legitimate tight ends and, we're fighting for reps. At Ohio State, Max Clare became, the steadying force in their tight end room, the tight end 1. He handled the dirty work, executed, nuanced block assignments, and still found ways to contribute as a dependable target in the receiving game as well. Across his last 2 seasons, he, posted 94 catches for 1,133 yards and 6 touchdowns, and none of it came from like schemed freebies. He earned his production by being in the right place and the right depth that, with the right technique at the right time and catching the ball. He just did everything right. He's raved about his discipline. His coaches talked about, how he studied fronts, how he communicates adjustments, how he plays with the level of detail that elevates the entire offense. He's foundational. Every offense needs a player like this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, every offense does. You're right. I agree. He's somebody I feel like reliable is a good word for him. Yeah. Like when you say, hey, I need you to be at this spot at this time, he's there. I need you to block this person with this angle. He's done it. He's just a very coachable, reliable type of a player.
Yeah.
So when it comes to his mold and archetype and really just the style of player that he is, how would you describe it?
He's a true inline wide tight end, the kind of player who can live next to the tackle. He's going to be able to handle physicality of the edge, and still give you reliable snaps in the pass game. Like I said, his game is built on strength, consistency, and good leverage. Excuse me. I think he plays with a wide, powerful base that lets him control defenders. He uses his hands like a veteran. Inside placement, quick resets, constant engagement on the defenders. He runs routes with purpose as well, and can use his frame to carve out space as well. Comfortable catching through contact and finishing forward. He understands the structure of the offense and plays within it. He's not like a seam stretcher. He's a tight end who keeps the offense on schedule, sets the edge, and gives you a trustworthy outlet when the quarterback needs a safe throw.
Yeah. So what would be some of his weaknesses when it comes to transitioning to the NFL? How hard of a transition will this be for him?
Early on, I think his biggest challenge would be the adjustment with dealing with athletes that match his technique, especially with more physical athletes in his strength. In college, his leverage and hand usage allowed him to control most matchups. He's going to face, defenders in the NFL who are just as refined and significantly more explosive. He'll need to continue his footwork. He's got to refine that a little bit more. And a lot of these guys is just, adding more, mass or strength to their lower body. A lot of these guys are like that. But he's tough. He's got great technique. He's really, really smart. I think he's probably one of the best pure blockers in this class too. He plays with heavy hands. He has, a strong anchor and, a clear understanding of his body and how to use that leverage against the defender. Like I said, he can widen, he can seal, can drive defenders depending on his assignment. He's got high level processing as well. He can identify fronts, adjust assignments, and rarely busts. His football IQ is a very, very, very strong trait of his. Physical route runner. He's got reliable hands. Alignment versatility as well within the wide tight end family. He can be an H-back. He can, line up in wing, inline, comfortable in all of them. And he's going to execute each role with precision as well. So,
yeah, I agree. I think he's also somebody who I feel like has gotten a reputation that he's not very athletic, but he's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. And so I'll be curious to see how that progresses as he gets to the NFL. So when it comes to fantasy football, how can he be a fantasy relevant tight end?
I think he's the type of tight end who becomes a quiet fantasy asset because he's always on the field. He's not going to give up you highlight reel plays, but he's going to give you earned snaps, and those snaps matter at the tight end position. He's a very trusted blocker, which is going to keep him in every personnel grouping. He's reliable in short area targets, which will help him move the chains. Physical enough to earn red zone looks. He has a high floor because coaches love players who do everything and do it correctly, and that's what he does. I just think he brings a blend of physicality, technique, consistency that is going to translate cleanly to the NFL. I don't know. I really like him. I think he'll probably be a steady tight end too, with the occasional tight end 1 weeks, depending on the week. So.
Yeah, in the landing spot too, I'm sure.
Sure, of course. But that's a lot of
all right. Well, the player comp that I've got for him is somebody who also went to Ohio State, was maybe not thought of very fondly coming out, was maybe thought of more as a elite blocker. But I think Max Clare is a little bit better at a passer or a receiver than this player was. And that would be Luke Farrell. tight end from Ohio State, who's now with the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, David.
Hey,
David,
he's a good dude, all right?
David loves Luke Farrell. He went to high school with Luke Farrell. David's brother was quarterbacks for Luke Farrell. He's got to bring up Luke Farrell. Sorry. Every time we talk about tight ends, Luke Farrell.
It's got to talk about him, okay?
Oh,
but yeah, somebody who I think is athletic enough to get the job done in the NFL. Somebody who's willing to do whatever you ask him to do.
That is Luke Farrell.
A little sneakily athletic. And I think Luke and Max have a lot of similarities in their game, and so I'll be curious to see what happens. But the ideal landing spot that I have
much
for
better
Max,
receiver.
I would agree. He is a better
much
receiver.
better.
So the ideal landing spot that I have for Max would be going to a team that is a contender, a team that is very, very much wanting to go win a Super Bowl, very competitive, has a strong head coach who's like, hey, I need you to do this. And Max Clare is going to be like, yeah, of course I'm going to go do that.
If you say the Browns right now.
No, I'm not saying the Browns right now. I'm saying the Denver Broncos right now is what I'm saying. I feel like a player like Max Clare could really thrive under a coach like a Sean Payton. He's athletic enough to where he can be relevant in the passing game. There's enough mouths to feed, so maybe he doesn't really do much there besides catch like 2-yard touchdowns, but that'd still be relevant. And he's athletic enough to block players too. And I think Sean Payton would love to be like, hey, Max, I need you to go do this. Go do it. Whether that be a QB sneak or block down on Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or anybody like that. And he'd be willing to go stick his nose in there and do whatever's needed. And so I think a place like that would be really, really beneficial for Max Clare.
There you go. Yeah, they just gave Adam Trotman a new deal. But yeah, I mean, Sean Payton loves those guys who are reliable. Think Taysom Hill. Think Jimmy Graham's, the guys like that. So yeah.
All righty. Well, now we are on to number 6.
Let's finish this off. Our last prospect for the 2026 class, right here.
Number 6.
Number 6, that would be Jack Endries, the tight end from Texas. Where is he at on your big board?
He is my tight end 7.
He's my tight end 7.
Second time ever. Let's go. Ring the bell.
Oh, ring the bell. Do something.
Who gave you buttons? All right.
Okay.
Oh, it's David.
All right. So let's talk about Jack.
Yeah,
tight end from Texas. He was somebody who I felt like was pretty productive at his time in Texas, somebody who did well. But give us a little bit of a background on him. What is he like? How has he progressed and grown during his time in college?
Excuse me. Yeah, I think he's a relatively impressive tight end for this class. He came to Texas as a long, athletic prospect with raw tools, and over the course of 3 seasons, he transformed himself into one of the most complete, dependable players in the Big 12, and then eventually in the Big 10. That stands out about him. His how do I say this? Oh my gosh. Not just his production. I had a brain fart there. Excuse me. He had 124 catches, 1,377 yards, 7 touchdowns across 3 years. That's obviously nothing to sneeze at, but it's the way I think that he earned those numbers, which is more impressive. Texas trusted that dude everywhere. He was motion, wing, slot, inline, in the backfield sometimes. He handled it all without looking overwhelmed. His coaches raved about his ability to digest heavy assignment loads, his consistency in both phases of the game as well. He's the type of tight end who doesn't need to be force-fed touches to impact the offense either. I think he just plays very clean, efficient football snap after snap. I think he's the kind of player who grows on you the more you watch him as well. He's steady, he's polished, and I think he's ascending at the right time as well. So.
Yeah, I would agree. He's smart. He's very polished in the way that he plays. I feel like he was coached very, very well at Texas, and I think that's going to translate really well for his transition to the NFL.
Yeah.
But when you talk about his playing style, how would you describe it?
He's a modern multi-alignment tight end who's going to win with smooth movement, strong hands, a natural sense of for how to uncover. He's not the pure power player. Nor is he, the the space player. I think he's a blend of both. You know, his game is built on fluidity, on timing, the ability to stay balanced through every phase of the route. He moves. He's very, moves with that gliding stride that some of these other tight ends I've talked about. It just looks effortless. He's great at manipulating leverage. He can catch through traffic, and he's always extending. In looking for throws outside of his frame. He's not afraid to just go get that ball. Relatively competitive blocker as well. And like I said, he can line up pretty much anywhere. He's going to fit seamlessly into any offense because he doesn't force you to change your structure. He's just going to help you enhance it. So,
yeah, I will be curious to see what it'll look like and where he lands, because I feel like that'll be a big factor into how he does and succeeds in the NFL. But I feel like he's just so coachable. He'll fit anywhere. So what would be one of his weaknesses as he transitions to the NFL?
He is not good at breaking tackles, and I don't like it. I think, and he can gain yards especially in college, gain yards after catch. He used efficiency and angles, but anything with brute force, he's going down. He's catching the ball, falling down. And I think he's also developing, point of attack power as well. He's not going to consistently displace edge defenders. But he's very smart, as you said. He's got a high level processing. He can understand spacing. He's not going to drift into congested areas. He's going to adjust the coverage. I think his football intelligence shows up in every rep. He's got really strong hands, and he's really confident with his receiving skills as well. They're very polished. I think he runs with a veteran sense of pacing, which is hard to do as a college tight end. He knows when to accelerate. He knows when to throttle down. He is going to create good, clean windows for the quarterback to throw into. His blocking isn't great, but he's doing better. He's ascending, and he's got fluid movement for his size as well. So,
yeah, he is a little bit more fluid than I really wanted to give him credit for after watching his tape. He is still physical, though, I thought, as a player. Sure. But when it comes to fantasy football, how can he be a relevant piece in year one?
He's going to be involved a bunch, I think. He's going to be one of those full-service tight ends who can stay in the field all the time. I think he's a natural fit for play action and layered route concepts. He's going to be also one of those guys who are reliable in the intermediate game. His hands are strong. He's got a really good catch radius. Those are both, traits that quarterbacks love. I think he's a good enough tight end blocker as well that he's going to stay on the field quite a bit. So I don't know. I really like him a lot. We'll see where he lands, obviously. There's a lot of tight ends in the NFL, and it's going to be congested in a lot of rooms. It's going to be a lot of fit for a lot of these guys. So.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. So when it comes to a player comp that I've got for him, somebody who I feel like took a couple of years to kind of get his feet under him in the NFL, but once he did, he was really dynamic, both in the blocking and in the passing game. And that would be Tucker Kraft, the tight end.
I knew you were going to say that. That's crazy.
Hey, I think there's a lot of similarities in the way that they play. And I think Jack definitely needs a little bit of time to develop still. He's still very coachable, still a little bit raw, but still has a big body, physical, smart. But I think a little bit of time to kind of on the same path that Tucker had to kind of take a year to kind of learn a little bit, get used to the speed, and then really hit the ground running. I think Jack can kind of have a similar path to that. And so a landing spot that I think would be perfect for him is a place where they have a really good quarterback. They've got a good pass game, and he can kind of come in, not necessarily need to be the day one starter, but eventually step into that role when he's ready. And that would be the San Diego Chargers. I guess they are now the Los Angeles Chargers, and I don't know why hold the habits die hard.
I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, I love the St. Louis Rams, man. The Houston Oilers, my favorite team.
Oh, man, that was embarrassing. But yeah, the LA Chargers with Justin Herbert as a quarterback. Obviously, they had a rookie tight end really break out last year and kind of do really well. I forget how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to.
Gadsden?
Yes, Oronde Gadsden. But yeah, I think somebody like Jack could jump in, learn, be the tight end too there. and kind of eventually in a year or two take over as tight end 1. I think he's a really, really strong player to target in dynasty leagues, and be somebody that you kind of be patient with, let him learn and develop and grow, and then eventually he'll be a beast of a tight end for you.
There you go.
All right. Well, those are our 6 players. Do you want me to give you my bonus honorable?
Go ahead, bro. Let's do it.
All right. So my number 4 tight end, the one that we did not hit, was a player that I really, really liked. And I think he's being a little bit slept on. And so here's a fun sleeper pick for all of you, but that would be Sam Roush, the tight end from Stanford. I don't know if you've got any notes on him, but I think he's somebody who can be a really dynamic player as well if he lands in the right spot. But he's fluid, really good blocker, really good in the passing game as well. It could be a really sneaky player to target. So keep him on your radars.
Sam Roush is my tight end 16, by the way.
Hey, better than Eli Stowers. So
yeah, 6'5", 225. I mean, I broke down every single prospect. So if you want me to talk about him, I can, but we don't.
No,
have
it's
to,
okay.
Okay,
just
I will.
Bonus. All right. Well, we got one last couple of things to read, and then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, brother.
So, are you looking for an energy drink that does not crash your day? Well, I'm here to talk to you about Dubby Energy Drinks. Clean energy, bold flavors, no jitters, and no crash. It helps you lock in and stay focused. See why people won't shut up about Dubby at dubby.gg. Again, that is dubby.gg. There are over 15 flavors to choose from. Be sure to use the promo code Inside Edge Network or Inside Edge 10. I do this every time. Inside Edge 10 to save 10% on your order today. Again, that is Inside Edge 10 to save 10% on your order today.
There you go. Yeah, again, if you're not rocking with the or if you are rocking with the show, rather, do us a massive favor and hit all of our socials like I talked about. We are everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at The Commish Couch. On Facebook, The Commissioner Couch Podcast. Look us up there. Then you'll find our website attached, thecommishcouch.podbean.com. First time I got that correctly. Oh, my gosh. That'll take you to every single place that we are at. Our whole hub. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. All of them. Please click the platforms you use, follow the show, subscribe, drop a 5-star rating, leave a review, turn on notifications, turn episodes on to auto download. Do it all for us, baby, please. I mean, even one of those things is going to help us so much, as I said. Again, a huge thank you to Monster Moments Photography. Monster Moments Photography is a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland, owned and operated by Ryan and Hallie Monster. For the past 10 years, they've captured more than 100 weddings across Northeast Ohio and beyond, always working together as a true 2-person team. Their style centers on authentic, emotional storytelling, documenting the real moments between two people in love and creating images that feel natural, comfortable, and true to the couple. Rooted in Northern Ohio, but inspired by their travels, Ryan and Hallie bring a warm, personal approach to every wedding day. Their work blends experience, consistency, and a genuine passion for helping couples relive their best day through timeless photography. Learn more at monstermomentsphotography.com. That's MOSSOR, momentsphotography.com, right there on your screen. And before we go, real quick, a lot more I got to do. Sorry. I want to talk about my son, James, again, one more time, my 4-year-old who is in the Ranger Junior Ranger competition. I've been talking about it on my Twitter, on my Facebook, on all my podcasts at least twice. That's the QR code right there. Please vote for James. Scan that. You can vote for him once a day for free. If you feel inclined to buy votes, you can. That will go to their donation. So it's basically just donating to charity on behalf of James. You don't have to do that. I'm not asking you to do that. But if you could please go and vote for him, I'd really, really appreciate it. This kid is just he's going to be the next Jeff Corwin, the next Steve Irwin, the next David Attenborough. He's going to be that. He's incredible. So just go, or you can go on my Twitter, and I've been posting videos of him breaking down his animals and stuff like that at Dynasty CLE. That's Dynasty CLE, or just please just scan this right here. Appreciate you guys so much. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up our tight end breakdowns for the 2026 class.
Not
David,
just our tight ends. That wraps up all of our prospects for this 2026 NFL.
We are closing the book on all the 2026 prospects. quarterbacks, running backs, wideouts, now the tight end. We've covered the entire landscape over the last 9 weeks of season 2. And the crazy part is the next part that you hear from us, it won't be another prospect episode. We're done, guys. It won't be another position deep dive. It won't be another film room conversation. The next episode is going to be the NFL draft. We are doing a live show. It's not going to be just any episode. The Commissioner's Couch podcast will be live during the entire first round on Thursday, April 23rd. Please come in. We're going to be talking about real-time reactions, instant analysis, special guests dropping in throughout the night, possible giveaways, a full breakdown of every pick as it happens. If you've been with us this entire season of season 2, this will be the show you absolutely cannot miss. So mark your calendars, set a reminder, tell your league mates, join us live on draft night, Thursday the 23rd. Next Thursday, we'll be bringing the energy, the insight, the chaos, all of the fun, and we want you right there with us as a 2026 rookie class finds their NFL homes. This is the moment we've been building towards since episode 1 of season 2, David. All the scouting, all the grading, all the debates, all the tape, literally hundreds of hours that I've put into this. You put in a ton of hours as well. All of that comes together on draft night. So kick back, get ready, and make sure you're tuned in because the Commissioner's Couch is going live, and we're turning the first round into an event for David Cahoon. Follow him at David Cahoon24. I'm Ryan Mosser. You can find me at Dynasty CLE on Twitter. This has been the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. We will see you next week. Rest up, stay sharp, keep grinding that tape. We will see you on draft night. I'm so freaking pumped.
Let's go.
And I'm going on vacation. Let's go.
All right. I'll see you later, bud.
See you, buddy.